Victor here. I'm looking now at Fisher Tanvir's idea, which I think is a pretty good idea. So, in the IC Tons coach teammate defense, when yellow goes up here, green has two options: block with the bishop or with the queen. You can try blocking with the pawn, but this is kind of a passive move. If you just continue here like normal, that tension, like let's say that this green could try this now. Yeah, actually, yellow wants to move out of the way and then occupy that space with the bishop. This is why pawn up is bad. Because if you move the pawn up here, then this queen is nice here in this post, but really that spot wants to be occupied by the bishop. So what you do is you just move over here, and then the queen is much more active. And if green goes over here next, yellow can go there next. And so this really frees up the queen, and the bishop occupies the tension on the diagonal with green, so that both the yellow and red queens are free. So by a similar vein, if after in a similar vein, say that I've seen this move a few times because you want to do that. Here, green can just go up here. I went over in this in my other video. And then the bishop can come over here, because if you do that, then blue goes there, and you have that, and green just gets out of the way. And you can just move out of the way, or pawn up or something. But that bishop can now occupy that diagonal too. And this is just better for blue-green. So because of this, you really have to block with either the bishop or the queen here, which is why you have to move the pawn up, so that you can check to prevent the mate threat. So for bishop up, we're looking at Tanvir's idea. And his idea, I was thinking we could box green in. The thing is, green is already boxed in. So actually you can take advantage of this to go for an assault on blue. Now, I've looked at this, we'll look at that in a second. I think the main line is moving the pawn up here, because then you move the knight up. I know before I've said the pawn, but I think here the knight is better, because that prevents this idea. And then you just move up with the red knight. And you can't ignore it, because if you do, you're looking at a serious attack on blue. So here you're moving with yellow's knight. And then maybe the green queen wants to get active. I looked at this line only. Another line to look at is the knight up. But if it's the queen line, then the red queen comes over here to attack that. And then, yeah, this is, yeah, I was looking at pawn up there. Yeah, you're really looking at some craziness here. If we're if instead of the pawn up, we look at the queen coming out, this is an interesting variation. Because now you move the pawn up with yellow. Because the queen is no longer on that diagonal. So you can just move the pawn up instead of the knight. And then we're looking at this. If the bishop doesn't come out, then you have that, and then going for the check, check, move up, check. Yeah, you want to move a pawn up here. I guess another option too is also taking the knight, but here you check, you don't want to see a capture. And you can move the bishop up to block against this idea. But this is just better for red and yellow. So you can't ignore the knight coming in the next turn. Which is why queen up here doesn't really work. I thought it would work at first, but I was mistaken. So of course the main line is the pawn up here now. And yellow moves the knight up next. And one idea here too is to move green's knight up. And of course that can be met with that. So you have to block the knight. But then blue has to block the other knight. And this gets a little bit interesting. Haven't really explored this variation too much, but I know one idea for red is to move the pawn up to have that, to get the queen active, and then with the bishop up, because even if yellow takes right now, blue can't, I mean, you can try to punish, but there's really no punish. So yellow has that extra move to get the bishop active. So if you take, of course, you just take back, and then the bishop can block next turn if need be. So this is just fun for red yellow. I'm not even sure that's yeah, I guess you would technically you have that, right? Because that bishop and that bishop are both pinned, or they would both be pinned. To do that, then you could take that way, and of course you can't take back, so you take back with the pawn. And then, see here. So you would have that, and then if you took, yeah, this looks pretty good. You're up. bishop for a knight, and let's see. That knight's under attack, so I think here you could go for the check. Then if you save the knight, let's see. Guess you get the check. You move up. And the rook checks. So, yeah, that's just, I just came up with this off the top of my head. But that's just one way that I could see this moving forward. So I'm thinking the pawn up is good, because it's another option would be to move that pawn up. Guess you would have that next turn. Well, maybe not next turn, but let's see. Could you challenge that is the question. Because you can also still defend that pawn. You want to secure that post, and then Green probably wants to do that. So yeah, well, it doesn't really work out. What am I talking about? Yeah, you can't take. So I guess could move the knight up there, but we still have this going on. So yeah, this is also looking pretty good, even with that pawn up for red yellow, looking really strong. See, I'm pretty sure you can, at this stage, just move the queen up, and that should give red and yellow the advantage they need to really kill this off. So I just did a whole bunch of that analysis just now off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that in response to the bishop moving up here, instead of trying to keep green boxed in because green is temporarily hampered, you just go for an all-out assault on blue. And this maneuver is really not so different from that maneuver. The only thing is you can do this maneuver immediately. And green can't do anything to contest it. There's no queen check. Can't set up the knight. Because without the queen check, you put blue in a bind, and then from that bind, after the bishop up, you just continually attack the weaknesses that are created from that bind. The queen gets cut off from this key diagonal. This is just this is probably the strong. This is, I would say, the strongest. This is the way I would go for red and yellow. It seems like a convincing win, and I don't really see how you would counter it as blue-green. So that said, I'm pretty confident, even though I haven't looked at this opening horribly in depth, that in response to the queen here, you have to move the queen back up. because then you have the check. And if you try it here with the queen up, I think you go for the same variation. You as yellow, you either, yeah, if you don't move it up, you just trade queens, and then without that threat, blue can easily equalize with that move. Blue really wants to get that move in without that threat. The knight, so of course that's the other option, you do that, but now green still has that, and if you waste a move doing that, then you can just completely block it off immediately by doing that. Opening up the check on red, and also blocking the knight. So, pretty confident that you have to move the queen up here. Because bishop up, it's a nice pin, yes, but it only really works if the queen is out first. Queen is not out, and the queen becomes trapped, and it takes 1, 2, 3 moves at least for the queen to get active. Whereas if the queen was up here, it would have only taken 1 move. And those 3 moves are enough of a difference to put blue in a bind and create permanent weaknesses in blue's camp. Place a red knight in a spot that's really hard to be kicked off of. And red and yellow seem winning by all accounts in this variation. So I just wanted to make this video to look over Tanvir's idea. And if you think I missed anything, please let me know. And I'll catch you next time. Peace out.